Okay, so good morning once again. We continue our discussion on analysis of financial statements. And last time we looked at liquidity ratios. We said that liquidity ratios allow us to measure the capability of the firm to pay its current obligations or current liabilities as they become due. We said that we benchmark against time. So for example, if you take a look at the current ratio of our company, XYZ, we noticed that in 2019, its capability to pay its current obligations fell from 2.3 per peso of current liability, it became 1.5. And then, however, it recovered in 2020. However, compared to its competitor, we say that its competitor is more capable of paying its current obligations. And also for the asset test ratio, the quick ratio, we notice that the company pales in comparison with its direct competitor. In fact, in 2019, it only had 50 cents of current assets available to pay its current obligations. Okay, however, in 2020, it recovered 2.9. Okay, however, it's still not enough to pay a peso of current liability. And then we took a look at asset management ratio. We began looking at this, okay, and we continue our discussion on this very important measure, okay, which is the asset management ratio. And it includes FATO and TATO, okay? All right, so first we said that inventory turnover tells us how many times a year does a company, I think we illustrated it here, a company buys raw materials and then convert it into finished product and then sell. So for the competitor, it's 6.1 times, while the company only has 3.9 times. Okay, the turnover, inventory turnover is 3.9 times relative to the competitor of 6.1 times. No? So then we say that the greater the ITO, the greater the inventory turnover, the better. In fact, if we take a look at the let's say the progress, so there was a marked improvement in 2019, but it went down in 2020. Okay, so it's only turning its inventory 3.9 times a year as compared to its competitor. For the accounts receivable turnover, the competitor is able to collect its receivables 10.2 times a year, while we're only collecting 9.3 times a year. We say that the higher the ARTO, accounts receivable turnover, the better, because it means that the company is able to collect more in a greater frequency. So if it was 12 times compared to 9.3 times, the 12 times is better. On the other hand, for the APTO, it's the lower the better, okay, because it means that it's the frequency, the number of times a year that we pay on our trade payables, which means if we pay less, if we pay, for example, 15.1 times a year, which is our competitor compared to 17, this means that we're given longer terms to pay our trade payables. Since we're paying 17 times a year, as compared to our competitor, it means that the term given to us is a lot less than the terms given to our competitor. Okay, then we say that ITO can be viewed as DIO. So these are, the concepts are the same, only that they are viewed differently. This is the number of times a year. On the other hand, this is the number of days. Okay, it takes the company to process the raw materials, buy raw materials, process it, and then sell. So on the average in 2018, the company took 91 days to do that. Then this improved in 2019 to 73. However, it deteriorated once again in 2020, 17 days. 95 days, sorry, 95 days a year. Okay, so that's the cycle. Buy raw materials, convert to finished product, sell. It took the company 95 days to do that. On the other hand, it took the competitor 60 days. So it means that on the 60th day, the competitor had already sold its goods, while the company is still either processing, converting to finished product, or still in the process of selling its goods. So a 35-day difference, guys, is a long period, 35 days. So the competitor is really more efficient in terms of its operations, because it's able to convert their finished goods into finished product and then sell it in a shorter time frame compared to our company. Okay. On the other hand, the average collection period, or days sales outstanding, that's DSO. By the way, DIO is days inventory outstanding. Okay. DSO, days sales outstanding, or average collection period. It took the company 37 days from the time they sold the goods up to the collection is 37 days. In 2020, it deteriorated. It became 39 days. Okay, either the collection process of the company is very inefficient, it's not able to collect, or the quality of its customers is not that good. Okay, or it's the way the system of collection is really not good, okay, as compared to its competitor, which is able to collect in 15 days. Okay. On the other hand, days payable outstanding, the company pays its their suppliers in 22 days, vis-a-vis their competitor of 90 days. This simply means that the competitor has a longer, it's being given a longer term by their suppliers, as compared to the company, which only gives where they're only given 22 days on the average. Okay, so these are very important measures. This ITO or DIO, ARTO or DSO, and APTO and DPO. These are days payable outstanding, or average payment period. Okay, now we look at it on a broader aspect, which is what we call the operating cycle. The operating cycle is obtained by adding your days inventory outstanding, okay, and your days sales outstanding. So let's look at this. 134 versus 75. So what does that mean? 134 for our competitor and 75 for the company. So let me use my digital pen, start thinking. Okay. All right. So this is for the competitor. So let's take a look at the operating cycle, OC. And for the competitor, this is 75 days. Okay, so what's 75 days? Am I correct? Is it 75 days? Yeah, it's operating cycle 75 versus our 134. Okay. What does operating cycle mean? Well, it's your DIO plus DSO, right? DIO, days inventory outstanding, plus days sales outstanding. Okay, or average AIP, average inventory period. Okay, this one, plus your average collection period. Okay, so those are just other names for your DIO and your DSO. It means that it takes the company 75 days to buy raw materials, convert to finished product, sell the goods, and then collect. So this is 75 days. Then buy raw materials, convert into finished product, sell the goods, and then, okay, another 75 days. So all in all, how many times a year? Okay, so it will be this, the sum of your ITO and your ARTO. So that's around 16.3 times a year. Wait, 16, no, sorry, that's wrong. 75. So if we divide, guys, let's say, it's equal to 360 upper days divided by 75. So they're able to do this 4.87 times a year. You get this, guys, the 4.87 times, because 75 days, okay, this is the operating cycle. This is cash to cash. Cash to cash cycle means, so they put out cash for its raw materials, and then they collect the cash within 75 days. Okay, is this clear, guys? The 4.87 times, because if you multiply 4.87 times 75, you get 365 days. That's the number of days a year. That's the operating days of the company. So let me increase this a bit. Sorry about that. Another 75. Another 75. And some 0.86. This is around 0.87 times. Okay, so that's 4.87 times a year. That's your operating cycle. Because 75 times 4.86, that's 365 days, all in all. Okay, so that's how fast the competitor is able to perform the operating cycle. Okay, the cash to cash cycle. On the other hand, our company is only able to do this. Okay, sorry for that. It's only able to do this. Let's see. This is 1 year. Okay, how many times is XYZ able to do that cycle? So the operating cycle is 134 days. Okay, 134 days. So this is, let's compute for that first. So this is equal to upper days. Remember, we used this, we gave this name, upper days divided by 1. Okay, let me link it. Upper there, 134. So that's only 2.73 times. Okay, so I hope you're getting the idea here. So 1, this is 134 days. Another 1, 2, another 134 days, and a 0.7 something here. So while the competitor is able to do this operating cycle, cash to cash conversion, which means buy raw materials, convert to finished product, sell, and then collect. Okay, this includes the collection period, right? Because this is the sum of your days inventory, the time it takes for the company to convert to finished goods and then sell, and then the days to collect also. Okay, this is what we call the operating cycle. Okay, so this one period here is your operating cycle. On the other hand, for our company, it takes us 134 days. So how can we compete, guys, with this company who's able to collect already by the 75th day? Kaya tayo halos kalahati pa, no? Hanggang 134 days. Okay, that's why it's very important to look at the velocity of how the company is able to churn the sales. Okay, buy raw materials, convert to finished goods, sell, and then collect. So you see how the disparity between the performance of our company and the competitor. Okay, so let me pause for a while there. Is there any question as regards so far up to this operating cycle? Okay, so operating cycle, guys, ito yung cash up to cash. Bakit cash to cash cycle? Kasi bibili ng raw material, so maglalabas ng cash, and then makokolekta na at the end of the 75th day for the competitor. So that's why it's called cash out, and then cash in. So tayo, 134 days. Ang layo, no? Okay, so we can see here that the competitor is really outperforming us. Okay, paki-chat please kung okay so far.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
I just forgot what DPO means. What does DPO mean again?
Days payable outstanding.
And yung DSO ba?
Days, sige, sulat ko sorry for not writing it, no? Para for your reference then. Okay, so dito na lang. Okay, dito. Days inventory outstanding. This one, days sales outstanding. OS guys is outstanding. And this one, days payable. Outstanding. Okay. Or this one is average inventory period, average collection period, average payment period.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so lagyan ko na dito ng insert comment para so days average inventory. Average collection period. Average payment. Right, so yan yung mga definition natin ng mga DIO, DSO, and DPO. Okay, so guys, I hope clear yung, again guys, could you kindly chat please kung clear so far yung discussion natin up to operating cycle. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. How about the rest? Thank you. Okay, appreciate guys yung yung salamat salamat sa feedback. Okay. So operating cycle importante yan guys. Sabi natin ito yung cash to cash cycle. From cash up to cash. So the competitor has a 75 days operating cycle while we have 134. Halos kalahati sa atin, ang tagal. It takes us long to do that cycle. Convert, buy raw materials, convert to finished product, sell, and then collect. 134 days. Kung ang kalaban mo 75 days, ako, mahirapan tayo makipag-compete sa ganyan kasi it tells a lot, guys. So very efficient sila. Kaya nga guys, we don't just stop here at these numbers. We have to study the company. We have to study the competitor. Diba sabi ko last time kay The Art of War, kay Sun Tzu. Kasi in the business field, guys, it's actually a war going on. It's a war going on, and we have to keep abreast with what the leaders in the industry are doing. Otherwise, guys, we might have to eat the dust. No? We will be left behind, way behind, and it could be a risk, guys, that the company could face closure, no? Or bankruptcy. Okay, so let's go now to cash conversion cycle. Ito importante din to, guys. No? Take a look at the formula. It's DIO plus DSO minus DPO. So that's the operating cycle minus the days payable outstanding. So let me explain ano itong ibig sabihin na to, no? Itong operating cycle, and then ima-minus natin days payable outstanding. And it's curious that our competitor has negative 15. So is this good or bad? So tayo naman 112. So let's analyze what this is all about. No? So balik ako dito. So sa competitor natin, our cash conversion cycle is equal to negative 15. So this is your DIO plus DSO minus DPO, or which is also equal to operating cycle minus DPO. Kasi operating cycle to, di ba? Yeah. Okay, so let me draw this. Okay. So sabi natin, ang OC natin is 75. No? This is 75. Okay. Ano yung DPO ni company, ni competitor? What's the DPO? Anyone please? Paki-unmute na lang. Ano yung DPO natin dito? Days payable outstanding for the competitor. Kindly answer please. What is the DPO, days payable outstanding for the competitor? Paki-unmute na lang please. Kindly unmute para hindi ko na buksan yung chat, no?
90 days po.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you, 90 days. 90 days. Ano ibig sabihin ng DPO, guys? Kailan magbabayad tayo sa supplier? 90 days. Lalagyan ko lang ng blue line dito, no? 90 days. So this is our DPO. 90 days. Okay. Kailan ni competitor na collect yung pera niya sa receivables? On the 75th day. Kailan pa magbabayad ng payable? On the 90th day. Ibig sabihin, guys, so ang formula, cash conversion cycle minus the DPO, okay? 75 minus 90, you have an answer of negative 15. Ano ibig sabihin ng negative 15 na to? Meron po silang 15 days para gamitin yung cash na na-collect nila elsewhere before paying their suppliers, no? Okay, so ano yung implication yan? A negative cash conversion cycle, okay, means that yung company has still some number of days to use that cash collected before they will pay yung yung suppliers nila. So is that good or bad? In a sense, that's good, guys, kasi pwede pa nilang gamitin yun. Let's say pwede i-invest yan sa marketable securities. So kahit papaano kikita, no? Kaya bago nila bayaran yung trade payable sila. So that's what a negative cash conversion cycle means. On the other hand, yung company natin, ilan yung cash conversion cycle natin? 134. Okay, ito, 134 days. 134. Okay. Ilan yung DPO ni XYZ? Paki-unmute please. Ilan? Please. Unmute lang, guys. Ilan yung DPO ni XYZ company?
22 po, sir.
22 days. Di ba? Ano ibig sabihin 22 days na to? Kailangan na nila bayaran yung trade payable sila, di ba? Eh kaso, dito pa nila sa day 134 mako-collect yung receivable kasi yun yung operating cycle nila eh. So saan nila kukunin? Technically, guys, on the average, on the 22nd day daw magbabayad na. Saan nila kukunin to? Saan? Eh wala pa yung cash, andi dito pa. So they will have to finance. Uutang sila dito ng short term. Kasi kailangan bayaran na nila eh. Di ba? They have to pay the trade payables. The story tells us that they will be able to collect on their account after 134 days. On the 22nd day, magbabayad na sila. Okay, so manghihiram sila dito. On the 22nd day, manghihiram sila. Yung difference sa 134 to 22, ilan yun? This difference is how many? 134 minus 22, that's 112, di ba? 112. Okay, ano yung 112 na yan? 112 days. Okay, 112 days, guys, yung ipapa-finance nila dun sa paghiram nila ng short-term funds na yan. So magbabayad sila ng interest dyan. I hope you get the story, ano? Ulitin ko, si company XYZ bibili ng raw materials, convert into finished goods, and then sell and then collect on day 134 because that's the operating cycle. Tanong, kailan magbabayad siya ng payables? On the 22nd day, right? So if you get the difference between 134 and 22, that's 112 days. That's the number of days they will have to finance the short-term borrowing. Okay, so may interest yung 112 days yan. Kasi hihiram sila dito, okay, tapos makakabayad sila dito. Kasi dito nila makokolekta. So yung number of days na yan, guys, yung 112 na yan, yan yung number of days na kailangan nilang i-finance yung short-term borrowing nila. Okay? So the higher, guys, the higher the cash conversion cycle, the more expensive it is for the company. Kasi magkakaroon ng interest yan eh. Di ba? Manghihiram sila, kahit short-term yan, 112 days, less than 1 year, yet that will incur interest. Okay? So a very long cash conversion cycle, guys, speaks of inefficiency of the company. Imagine to, 112 days. Okay? So the longer the cash conversion cycle, guys, ibig sabihin, mas malaki yung implication niya ng interest kasi mas mahaba yung days na kailangan ipa-finance sila yung short-term borrowing. Okay? As compared to a negative cash conversion cycle, ito guys, so ang negative, in a sense guys, that's good. Pag cash conversion cycle kasi they still have some 15 days to use that funds na nakolekta na nila and put it elsewhere. Okay? Bago nila babayaran yung yung supplier sila. Okay, pause muna ako guys. Any questions? Is that clear so far guys, yung cash conversion cycle? So let me summarize.
To clarify po.
Sorry.
So to clarify, the smaller the better.
Which one?
Yung cash conversion cycle.
Oh, the smaller the better kasi ibig sabihin nun, kung ipapa-finance man natin, mas konti na lang. No? Again, 112 days, ibig sabihin, mangungutang tayo, tapos makakabayad tayo after 112 days pa. So the longer it takes us to pay the short-term borrowing, the more interest it will incur, di ba? So of course, kunyari, nanghiram tayo, tapos ang cash conversion cycle natin 15 days na lang, kunyari example, 15 days, that's a lot better than having a cash conversion cycle of 112 days. Kasi the cash conversion cycle of 15 days means that we will be able to collect already on our receivables in 15 days time. So mababayaran kagad natin yung short-term borrowing natin na ginamit natin para bayaran yung trade payables natin. Dito guys, opposite yung yung performance ng competitor at saka ni our company XYZ. Okay? So ibig sabihin niyan, may problema talaga sa sa operating cycle ni company natin. Kasi it takes us 134 days eh. Tapos yung payable natin in 22 days time lang. Diba? So may problema doon. It's either dapat yung operating cycle natin pababaan yan, dapat mapababaan yan. Ibig sabihin dapat mas mabilis, dapat yung turnover natin ng inventory. Mapabilis yung process, mapabilis yung pagbenta, mapabilis yung pagkolekta. Di ba? Imagine, kino-compare natin yung, for example, yung DIO natin, 39 days, samantala yung competitor, 15 days. Eh, paano tayo makaka-compete sa ganyan? Di ba? Tapos yung days, yung DIO natin, 95. Si competitor, 60. DSO natin, it takes us on the average 40 days to collect. Samantala si competitor 15 days. Tapos, to make matters worse, 22 days lang kailangan na tayo magbayad, si competitor 90 days. Okay, so this spells volumes. Ibig sabihin, siguro si competitor natin was able to establish already good credit terms with their suppliers. Kaya it takes them 3 months, no, to pay their payables. Di ba? Tayo 22 days lang. So pregnant to guys with so many stories, no? Ano kaya nangyayari dito? Bakit ganun? So if we're part of that organization, kung CFO tayo o nasa finance tayo, kailangan tingnan yan, no? Kailangan there has to be a sit down with operations and take a look at where the choke points are happening. Bakit 39 days yung DSO natin? Okay? Sorry, yung DIO natin, tama. DIO natin 95 days. DSO natin 39 days. Is there a problem with how we collect? Okay, very lax with the collection. Okay, tapos yung mga empleyado ba natin, di ba? Ano lang ba sila? Parang they don't really put their heart into it. How do we treat our employees? Okay, so a lot of stories can be gleaned from this. Okay, so on the other hand, guys, a very high cash conversion cycle, a very low cash conversion cycle. Kunyari, negative 180. Is that good or bad, guys? Negative 180. Ibig sabihin, meron pa tayong kalahating taon para bago natin bayaran yung supplier natin, magagamit pa natin yung funds na nakolekta natin bago natin bayaran si supplier. Any comment on that, guys? Let's assume the cash conversion cycle of our competitor is negative 180 days. So ang implication nun, 180 days pa muna, nasa sa atin na yung cash na kolekta na natin, 180 days pa muna bago natin bayaran si supplier. What's your take on that? Anyone would like to give his opinion on that? 180 days. So hindi lang 15 days, no? 180 days. Is that good or bad?
That's good.
Yeah, okay. Why? Sino to?
Albert pa to.
Albert, sige. Albert, thank you. Why?
If you have more time to prepare your money, well, if you're given more time, you can be assured that by 180 days you can pay back the supplier, and within this period mas madami kang pera na pwedeng gamitin.
Yeah.
You're not very tight in terms of financials.
Correct. Thank you, Albert. In fact, Albert, the money is already there. Nakolekta na natin. So andyan yung pera. A cash conversion cycle of negative 180 means you already have the money and you will be paying your payables after 180 days pa. So the money is already there, it's ready. Okay, so that means that you can use your funds elsewhere. You can put it, for example, in the money market, short-term investment, but let it still grow. And then after 180 days, you divest, you already unload your short-term investments. So, kumita pa yun, no? Okay, but that's very good from the perspective of the company. No? But there's a dark side to this, guys. Okay? So, tingnan lang natin, guys, ano yung dark side nito. Ang dark side nito, guys, ibig sabihin nito, tinitikis natin yung supplier natin. We're paying the suppliers a long time. Okay, siguro, kunyari, malaking company tayo. Okay, if you want to do business with us, sasabihin natin, dapat willing ka na ang terms na ibibigay mo sa amin, 180 days. That's half a year. So we buy from you, you will have to wait for 6 months before we pay you. Teka muna. Guys, that's the dark side to that. So this is not now a push and this is not now a pull system. It's a push system now. Bahala kayo dyan. Bahala ka, supplier ka. Basta ako, bigyan mo ako ng 180-day term. Basta okay sa akin, wala akong pakialam sa'yo. There's this underlying story like that. No? Kasi ang problema naman yan, how about the welfare of your supplier? Kasi ba hindi siya, kasi externality naman siya. Wala akong pakialam kung how he manages. Basta you provide me with the materials, with the supplies, and then basta maghintay ka ng 180 days. That could be a problem, guys. No wonder. Do you know of a company that does this, guys? Kaya for you to be in that company, guys, kailangan mahaba yung PC mo. You know of a company, guys, that does a business like this. Ang tagal-tagal ng ng terms na binibigay nila sa mga customers nila, sa mga suppliers sila. Would you know, guys, of a company like this? Okay, I'll give you a clue. 2 letters lang yung pangalan ng company. Alam niyo yun, madalas kayong pumupunta doon, guys. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Syra. That's the business model of SM. Yun ang business model nila. So I have friends, no, who used to do business with SM. Kasi ang SM, guys, ang business naman talaga niya real estate eh. Hindi naman talaga sila dun sa merchandising. Real estate yan. Okay, so yung mga cashier diyan, taga SM yun. So kinokolekta nila yan, tapos binibigyan nila yan dun sa mga sa mga tenants sila after a number of days, no? Ilang months yun. Okay, so yung my friend who used to do business with that, hindi niya afford kasi yung cash flow importante. So it took long. Kino-compare nga niya kasi tapos nag-Robinson siya. Sabi niya mas favorable yung terms with Robinsons. This is a true story, guys. Actually, I don't have any personal experience kasi hindi naman ako nag-release sa SM or sa Robinsons. But this was from an actual experience of a professor din ng Lasal na nagbe-business doon sa dati sa SM, pero hindi nga niya nakayanan yung terms because of exactly of this, yung cash conversion cycle na to. Okay? So while it may be good for the company to have a big negative, no? Pero on the other side niyan, guys, yung relationship between the company and the suppliers, ha? So kailangan ito ibabalance din to. Kasi remember yung Japanese concept nga ng di ba, ng Kaizen, yung push system. Okay, yung push system is to help companies parang you maintain a good working relationship kasi if they flourish, you also flourish. Okay. That's the what we call the inclusivity principle. No? It's a symbiotic relationship. Unlike yung dating concept na bahala kayo dyan mag-away-away, basta ako okay ako, I don't care what happens to you. Which technically, guys, is might not work in the long term kasi suppliers are also stakeholders of the company. Okay, so clear yung guys. Sabi natin, okay din yung negative to a certain degree, no? Negative cash conversion cycle. But if this becomes relatively big, guys, negative na malaki, then maybe something the company should also look into how they treat its suppliers. Ito naman, guys, ito naman yung reverse. Ito, pangit din naman, napakalaki kasi, ibig sabihin ito, what's wrong with the way the company is able to generate their finished goods and then sell? How about yung collection nila? Problematic din to, no? Problematic din itong malaki-malaking to. So there has to be a balance between yung operating cycle ng company at saka yung cash conversions cycle. So this tells a lot, guys. This tells a lot about the performance of the company. Okay, clear yung guys? Clear? Clear so far? Yung operating cycle, cash conversion cycle, and this family of asset management ratios. Okay, good. Thank you. How about the rest? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Yan, ganda. So, sa paper nyo, guys, tingnan nyo to, yung operating cycle at saka yung cash conversion cycle. Because it tells a lot about the efficiency, the asset management practices of the company. Ang SM, Syra, paki-share sa lahat yung question mo. Kasi hindi ang part lang yung SM, part lang yung merchandising niya, yung retail, no? overall, ang SM talaga, it's a real estate company. Diba? It's a leasing. Yung mga spaces na inaano nila, ano doon yung bulk ng revenue sila, hindi doon sa hindi doon sa retail. It's more of the leasing. Like SM MOA, no? Di ba ang dami nilang mga spaces diyan na pinapa-lease. So that's where they really earn a lot, no? Not from the as compared to the merchandising nila, kunyari SM grocery, SM supermarket. The bulk of the revenue is on the leasing side. Okay, maraming ang issue actually yung SM. Parang kunyari yung sa employees, no? Yung mga, let's say yung mga sales doon. Okay, so it has been a discussion sa mga academic circles kung tama ba yung ginagawa na yung endo, yung tawag nito 5 months lang, tapos via agency, tapos yung agency sa kanila din, so parang double whammy. So it might seem like a very astute or a very good business model, pero may questions sa ethicality, sa ethics side, etc. But I won't go there. Okay. All right. So guys, sorry, may naging kasi ROA na lang nalagay ko dito, no? So bago na lang yung formula. It should be sales over average fixed assets and sales over average total assets. Itong FATO at saka TATO. So the answer should be 9.95 at saka 2.34. Okay, ano ibig sabihin ng FATO? So it tells us how the company is able to generate sales with the use of its fixed assets. So here, guys, mukhang mas maganda yung FATO ni XYZ compared to our competitor. Dito kasi 7.92 pesos of sales per 1 peso of fixed assets. Pero sa total assets naman, dito, 2 pesos sales for every 1 peso of total assets. So, mas magaling si direct competitor natin, 2.5 peso of sales per 1 peso of total assets. Okay, so that's your FATO and your TATO. So again, guys, titingnan natin over time. So the company has been deteriorating as far as FATO is concerned, kasi 9.95, 9.08, and then 7.92. Bumababa siya over time, pati yung TATO. But relative to the competitor, mas mataas yung sales natin per peso of fixed assets. Ibig sabihin, mas na-utilize natin yung fixed assets natin more than the competitor. Okay. Any questions, guys, about this this asset management? Okay, if none, move on tayo, no? Kasi kailangan natin matapos to. Okay. So meron naman yung debt ratio natin, tatlo dito, no? We have a debt ratio of 3 debt ratios. Okay, first, yung pinakamadali is your debt ratio is simply your total liabilities over total assets. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin nito, magkano yung finance ng debt for every peso of total assets. Okay, if you can see here, guys, medyo noong 2019 tumaas yung yung leverage 80.7%, pero parang masyadong malaki, no? Yung anomaly nito 80.7, highly leveraged tayo dito, and that's because ano ba yung pinaka-reason nun? Kung titingnan natin yung balance sheet, ayun, no? Yung long-term debt ng company, it ballooned from 323 naging 1 million. Okay? So that's why the debt ratio ballooned to 80%. But it went down again nung 2020 kasi nagbayad din yata dito, nagbayad din ng long-term debt, no? From 1 million naging 500,000. Ibig sabihin na may nag-mature tas nabayaran. Okay. So sabi natin, double-edged sword guys yung utang. One, it's pag masyado mataas yung debt ratio, that might be a problem for the company kasi baka hindi niya ma-service yung interest payments, no? At saka yung principal. Okay, but on the other hand, sabi natin, to a certain degree, interest is good kasi it leverages the company. It actually saves them also from tax kasi bumababa yung taxable base natin pag ginagamit yung interest. Pero pag excessive naman yan guys, unang-una mahirap din umutang kapag masyado na mataas yung debt ratio. Okay, ang mahirap kasi dito guys, ano yung mataas? Ano yung mababa na debt ratio? Well, it will be up to the creditors to evaluate that. May mga standards yan na ginagamit sila. No? So it's not only in the number, but there are qualitative and quantitative measures that they use in order to determine kung maganda bang pautangin tong company na to, etc. Okay, as compared to the competitor, balance yung ano niya 50-50, no? I'm not saying guys na mas maganda tong 50-50. Remember, ang answer to the question the answer to the question, what's the optimal capital structure? It's the capital structure that optimizes or maximizes shareholder value. Okay. So ito we can see here the medyo tumaas noong 2019, however, bumaba naman siya noong 2020. As compared to our competitor, pag i-compare natin 2020 kasi 2022 no? We cannot actually compare it to 2019. Dapat may 2019 din tayo na na value ng competitor natin. So our competitor is using more debt, no, to finance its assets relative to our company na 43.8 lang. Okay. Next guys, yung times interest earned. If you take a look at the formula, EBIT over interest expense. Okay, take note guys sa income statement, mauuna yung EBIT tapos ibabawas natin interest expense. So ang tanong dyan, ilan yung operating profit natin na kayang i-service yung interest expense? Okay, 3.35 here. Okay guys, so yan lang yung formula na yan. Again, sabi ko last time na I hope you have supplied the values here. Pag naiiba sa inyo guys, that's the time you ask na lang. EBIT over interest expense. Ibig sabihin nito, noong 2018, meron tayong 1 peso of 3.35 na operating profit in order to service your interest expense. Okay, so that's good, no? Ibig sabihin, kaya natin bayaran yung interest expense. Meron tayong 3 pesos and 35 centavos na operating profit, EBIT natin, para bayaran yung 1 peso of interest expense. And then it went down to 2020. So sa bawat piso ng interest expense, 10 centavos lang yung available na operating profit natin. No? Now this is because yung tumaas yung mga operating costs natin dito, di ba, sa 2019. And then naka-recover naman ng 2020. So yung operating profit natin 6.28 per 1 peso of interest expense. So this fares well, okay, with our competitor. 6.2 yung tie ni competitor, tayo 6.28. Okay, then we have another measure, yung EBITDA coverage. Whereas yung tie, guys, ang ginagamit yung EBIT, yung EBITDA coverage, ang ginagamit yung EBITDA. Okay, so you have, kung may lease guys, dinadagdag siya. Okay, and then, ang divisor natin, hindi lang interest expense, isasama natin yung principal, tsaka isasama natin yung lease. Okay, so, mas ginagamit ng EBITDA coverage kaysa sa times interest earned. But pareho lang yung ano nila, no? Pareho lang yung concept nila. Okay? Ito yung concept ng EBITDA coverage. How well can the company pay its interest, its principal, and its lease obligations? Yung lease guys, ito yung long-term lease. It's like rental, no? Okay, so pag long-term yung quote-unquote rental natin, it's called more of a lease, no? Tapos maraming klaseng lease pa, dalawang klase actually, financial lease at saka operating lease, but we won't go there, no? So, mas ano na, mas accounting ano na yan. Mas accounting na concept na yan. So, dun sa ano natin guys, wala tayong ano, no? Wala tayong lease na binigay sa atin. So we will just leave that out, and then we will just focus on the interest and the principal. Okay. So EBITDA coverage natin for any questions guys? Did you compute for this? May differences ba tayo sa EBITDA coverage? Likewise guys, the higher the EBITDA coverage is like tayo, the better. So how do we compute this? Okay, EBITDA, syempre guys, kasi may EBIT tayo. We have EBIT, no? EBIT. Then we have to add back depreciation to get your EBITDA. So dito, ang ginawa natin sa formula dito is, okay, let me repeat. So this is your EBITDA. No? So this is your EBIT, and then your add depreciation. Okay, wala tayong lease. Kung meron lease, isasama natin sa sum. Okay, next. Then sum ng, it's a sum of your interest and then your principal. Okay, ano ba yung interest natin? Interest is this. And then principal. Okay, question. Principal, guys, paano natin malalaman yung principal? We will have to take a look at the okay, titingnan natin guys yung long-term debt natin. And compare it with the previous year. Noong 2018, wala tayong you cannot compare kasi wala naman tayong 2017 figure. Okay? So, anong gagawin natin dito? What do we do here? May principal payment ba tayo dito? Since hindi natin mako-compare, then we can just leave that out, no? So it will just be the interest expense. Wala tayo kasing principal, wala tayong lease. So 3.65 yung EBITDA coverage natin nung 20. Okay, so if we highlight this, okay, if we copy that, so again, it's your EBIT plus depreciation divided by, okay, tingnan natin guys yung principal payments natin. Yung long-term debt natin, from 323 to 1 million. So tumaas. Okay, so tumaas siya. Ibig sabihin nun, wala tayong principal payments dito. Okay, you get me guys? From 323 to 1 million, tumaas yung principal na yung yung utang. So wala tayong principal payments diyan. So control enter. Okay, so dito bumaba guys kasi yung EBIT natin, our EBIT here is baba ng EBIT natin, 17, add back depreciation, tapos yung interest expense natin 176. So that's 17 plus 116. It's not even able to cover yung interest expense natin ng 176. Okay? And then dito naman, okay. If you take a look at this one, guys. Okay, so this is your EBIT plus depreciation. And then what happened in 2020? Kung titingnan natin long-term debt natin, okay, from 1 million, di ba? Naging 500,000. Ibig sabihin dito nagbayad tayo ng principal. 1 million minus 500,000. Nagbayad tayo. Okay? So, kaya nga, ang ginawa natin dito is sum ng interest at saka yung binayaran natin, F32 minus G32. What's this one? F9. Ay, mali. Wait. Mali ito. Sum ng what F32? F32, where's F32? Ah, mali ito. Sorry, this should be this minus this. Yung 500,000. Okay. Okay, you got this, guys? Apologies for that. No? So it's just, yung EBITDA coverage natin, we have to compute for EBITDA first. So that's yung EBIT plus the depreciation divided by yung interest at saka yung principal natin. Ano yung principal? Yung principal, guys, kasi from 1 million to 500, ibig sabihin nagbayad tayo ng principal dito. Dito sa long-term debt na to. Okay, so sinama natin yung difference ng dalawang yan, 500,000. Okay, control enter. So that's 1.07. So meron tayong 1.07 na EBITDA in order to cover our interest at saka yung principal natin. Okay, so compared to our competitor, guys, mas malaki talaga ano nila. Mas malaki yung EBITDA coverage nila. So yung mga measures na to, guys, kasi this tells us how capable the company is in servicing its interest, its principal. Okay? Dito parang 1:1 lang. So 1 peso sa bawat piso ng interest at saka principal obligations, meron tayong 1 peso na EBITDA in order to cover yung mga interest payments natin. So may notes lang ako linagay dyan, guys. Ha? Okay, may notes ako about EBITDA coverage, which I hope you read, no? Okay, so that answers our DR, guys, yung debt ratio natin. Okay, any questions? A moment, guys. A moment lang. Okay, sorry about that, guys. What was the question?
Sir, I'm kind of confused on Fato
Sige.
and Tato po.
Saan? Fato and Tato. Okay.
What do you get the average of?
Oo, actually dapat average yan, no? Kasi again, ang concept, guys, kapag income statement yung sales, 'di ba? Kasi income statement 'yan. So it's a period. It's for the whole period. So technically hindi siya maganda kung yung fixed assets lang ng ending yung ilalagay natin. Kaya what's sometimes done is to get the average for the whole period then. Again, guys, sorry, mali yung nalagay kong formula dito. That should be sales over average fixed assets. No? Okay, so for our purposes, guys, we'll use the average. In fact nga, ito din dapat average din yan. Okay, kaso hindi ko na lang pinalitan. No? So ang guiding principle lang, guys, if you're using income statements, kunyari numerator siya, tapos yung denominator yung balance sheet, make it a practice to get the average of the balance sheet. Okay.
So sir, do you get the average of like 2018, 2019, 2020 po na total?
Yes, oo. Tinan nyo yung formula ko, di ba? So dito, guys, so this is sales divided by the average of average of the fixed assets ng 2018 and 2019. Okay, but since wala kasing 2018 and 2017, wala kasing 2017 Pero linagay pa rin natin yung formula na to para when you copy this to the right, makukuha naman yung average ng 2018 at saka 2019 and 2019 at saka 2020.
So, sir, you get the average of like the previous year and then the current year po.
Yes, correct. Kasi kinukuha natin yung FATO ni 2018, ano? So ang FATO ni 2018 will be the sales of 2018 divided by yung average ng beginning and ending ni 2018. But the beginning of 2018 is the ending of 2017. Okay? So yun, that's the reason why we're getting the 2017 and 2018. Okay. And again, guys, ang pinaka-main concept niyan, sales is a period computation, isang buong year. So, ang question kasi, bakit natin gagamitin lang yung point in time lang na value ng fixed assets? Okay? So, that's why it's the common practice is to get the average ng balance sheet account natin. Okay, ganun din guys sa dito, no? Sa dito, we also get the ito hindi ko pala nakuha yung average, no? So mali ako dito. Dapat average nito ng B25 and C25. Okay? Pareho lang yan, pero dito baka magbago ng konti. Yan. May konting difference, no? Kasi in-average out na natin siya. Okay, did that answer your question? Sino yung nagtanong?
Ira po. Yes po.
Ira? Nasagot yung question. Okay, thank you.
Po.
So guys, tandaan nyo lang katulad nito, no? Ito, EBIT over sales, okay lang yan kasi parehong balance sheet accounts yan. Pero ito, EBIT over total assets, technically dapat ito, average ng total assets. Kasi an EBIT is an income statement account. No? Ito naman, net income. Kasi gawin na lang natin guys to be consistent, no? Kasi baka malito kayo eh. Okay, so I'm going to get the average just to be consistent, no? So sa ano natin, sa ano nyo guys, sa paper nyo, okay, dapat pag mga ganyang measures where you combine income statement at saka balance sheet, make sure to use the average of your balance sheet account. Yung iba naman hindi naman masyadong hindi siya masyadong nagdi-differ. Okay? So, paki-ano na lang guys, paki-take note na lang yung difference, no? Para hindi kayo malito, para consistent tayo. So, dito, net income after tax over total equity. So, net income after tax is an income statement, of course. Total equity is a balance sheet account. So, dapat kahit paano period din by getting the average of the beginning and the ending. So, dito dapat average to. Baguhin ko na para okay. So dito average na B35, C35. Okay, is it clear guys? So may mga accounts kasi dito na na pinipair si income statement at saka si balance sheet. When you have that, guys, ang gagawin natin talaga dapat i-average natin yung measures na yan. Okay, so let me continue guys kasi we're running out of time. Okay, tapos na tayo sa mga debt ratios, no? Debt ratio, at saka EBITDA coverage. Yung profitability ratios, these are actually madali lang to, no? Yung profitability ratios. Ito, EBIT divided by sales. Okay? EBIT divided by sales. And then profit margin is net income after tax over sales. So dito hindi natin kailangan i-average kasi pareho naman mga income statement accounts to. So 0.06 means that for every 1 peso of sales, ang operating profit natin dito, 6 centavos. Okay, ito guys, halos wala na noong 2019, di ba? Ang baba ng operating profit natin dito, yung EBIT natin. Tapos nag-recover tayo ng 2020, 7 centavos. Okay, but we fail in comparison to our competitor, direct competitor sila. They're making 9 centavos for every peso of sales. Okay. Sa profit margin naman, ang difference guys ang operating margin at saka profit margin. So operating margin ang ginagamit natin si EBIT, no? Si profit margin yung net income after tax. Ito na yung bottom line, guys. Ibig sabihin nito, for every 1 peso of sales, 3 centavos yung kita natin. Ito, since net loss tayo, okay, net loss from profit margin natin, we're losing 2 centavos for every peso of sales. And then in 2020, 4 centavos ang gain net income per peso of sales. And then we also lag behind our direct competitor. Okay. And then itong basic earning ano guys, basic earning power. Okay, ibig sabihin lang yan, magkano yung operating profit na nag-generate ng company per peso of total assets. So ito 0.14, no? Ibig sabihin operating profit na nag-generate sa bawat piso ng total assets na ginagamit, bumaba siya ng 2019, 1 centavo na lang. Pero naka-recover naman 2020, 16 centavos. So sa bawat piso na total asset na ginagamit, nakakapag-generate ng operating profit ng 16 centavos. Pero talo tayo dun sa direct competitor kasi 18 centavos sila. No? Okay? And then yung ROA guys, return. Pag sinabing return, automatic yan guys, no? Ang return on assets, ang ano niyan guys, ang denominator assets. Return on equity, ang denominator niyan equity. So ang return dito will be paired with net income. So again guys, since net income is an income statement and then yung total assets natin is a balance sheet account, so ang kukunin natin yung average. Okay? So ROE, ROA guys, these are mga old measures na to, mga traditional measures. Kaya sabi nga natin, mas powerful yung ROIC. No? So may iba pa, ROCE. May mga measures which came in later which are considered to be more powerful than ROA at saka ROE. Why? Kasi ito guys ang ginagamit net income after tax. No? And it does not consider the time value of money. Yung ROIC guys, di ba? Kino-consider natin yung charge sa capital. Ito hindi naman kino-consider dito yung charge sa capital at saka niyat yung ginagamit dito. Okay, but let's just take a look at it. Ano ibig sabihin ng 6%? Ibig sabihin yan, for every 1 peso of asset na ginamit, no, nag-generate siya ng 6 centavos na profit. No? Siyempre, mas malaki si BEP guys kasi si BEP based on EBIT, hindi pa na-deduct dito yung interest at saka taxes. Ito yung pinaka-bottom line na. So if I make this as, just to compare this with, gawin kong numbers guys. No? Number na lang. Okay, so here we're earning 6 centavos for every 1 peso of total assets. No? Ito sa 2019 wala. We are losing out. And then yung equity naman, for every 1 peso of equity provided by shareholders, we're earning 13 centavos. Noong 2020 naka-recover, naging 20 centavos, even higher than the competitor. Okay? And then ito guys, yung earnings per share. Ano ba yung, may naglagay ba ako note dito? Hindi. Earnings per share guys is magkano yung profit per share. No? Per share. So ibig sabihin itong 0.88. Okay, again guys, ito, in-average natin, average number of shares. No? 0.88 means ang bawat share kumikita ng 0.88. Ito, nag-loss, no? Tapos ito, 1.1, ibig sabihin, sa bawat share, kumikita ng 1 peso and 1 centavos. And then it pales in comparison with the competitor kasi sa competitor, 1.85, no? 1 peso and 85 centavos for every peso, for every share. Okay, so if you're the shareholder, syempre mas gusto mo na mataas yung EPS. No? Kasi ibig sabihin, kumikita yung share mo, mas malaki yung kita. kunyari 5 pesos to, mas gusto mo yung 5 pesos na EPS kaysa dun sa 1.85, syempre. Kasi ibig sabihin, nakakapag-generate si company ng higher na net income per share. So 5 versus 1.85, syempre mas maganda yung 5. Okay. I think so far, guys. Ang suggestion ko, guys, you go back to this, no? Balikan niyo yung lecture natin, aralin niyo ulit. No? Kasi siyempre hindi naman makukuha kayo kagad sa isang sitting. And anyway, this is recorded and then I'm going to post this for if you want to review. All right? So any questions as far as yung mga profit margins natin, operating margin, profit margin, basic earning power, ROA, ROE, earnings per share, okay? Price earnings ratio. Ay, hindi pa pala to. Any questions up to EPS? Ano naman please, paki-chat kung clear so far. Okay, sandali May question ba dito? Okay. Carl, ano please? Paki-share yung question mo sa lahat. Okay. That's a very good question, Carl. Paki-share na lang sa Carl, kindly share your question.
On mic ko po ba, sir? Basahin ko po.
Hindi, i-ano mo kasi
Na-chat ko na po, sir.
chat na ba? Ayun yun. Sorry.
Opo.
Thank you. Okay, Carl, thank you so much. This is a very good question. Balikan ko yung EBITDA coverage Kasi ang tinatanong ni Carl, bakit dito sa 2019 hindi natin sinubtract, no? Sa 2020 sinubtract natin yung yung long-term debt. Okay, ang reason niyan ganito, guys. Okay, so clarify ko lang Nung 2018, between 2018 and 2019, nag-increase yung yung long-term debt. So ibig sabihin hindi pa tayo nagse-service ng hindi tayo nagbayad ng long-term debt. Okay? Pero between 2018, 19 and 2020, tinan nyo, from 1 million naging 500 na lang. Ibig sabihin nagbayad ng principal dito na 500. That's why sa 2020, guys, kinuha natin yung difference na ito, yung 1 million minus 500 kasi nagbayad tayo ng principal. Okay, so that's the reason why for 20 dun sa EBITDA coverage natin dito, okay? So it's the sum of the interest and then yung principal payment. Nung 2019 wala tayong principal payment. Nung 2018 wala din tayong principal payment. Okay? So nung 2020 nagkaroon tayo ng principal payment. Paano ko nalaman? Tinignan ko yung long-term debt. No? Una, nung 2019 1 million siya. Nung 2020 naging 500 na lang. Ibig sabihin may principal payment na nangyari. That's why yung D32, magkano yung principal payment? Yan, 500,000, di ba? Kasi from 1 million naging 500 siya. So titingnan natin guys sa EBITDA coverage, titingnan natin kung bumababa yung long-term debt lang gamitin natin guys, yung long-term debt. Kung bumaba yan, ibig sabihin, yung sa EBITDA coverage, whatever the reduction is, isasama natin dito sa EBITDA coverage natin. Okay? Did that answer your question, Carl?
Yes po, sir. Bale po, magdededuct lang po tayo pag nabawasan po yung long-term debt po, sir.
Kasi may principal payment dun di ba? Bali,
pag nag-increase po, sir, wala pong gagawin.
Wala. Kasi hindi naman tayo nag-service ng principal, no? Katulad ng And thank you again for that question, Carl, because that's a very important question. No? So dito, 323 to 1 million, wala naman tayong binayaran na principal. No? So walang principal na isasama sa EBITDA coverage. Okay, so that's for 2019. Sa 2019, kinompare natin, what was the long-term debt before? And what's the long-term debt now? Did it increase or decrease? It increased. So ibig sabihin, ang assumption natin, walang net na binayaran na principal. Now for 2020, 500,000 siya, i-compare natin yung previous year. O 1 million, naging 500,000. Ibig sabihin nun, nagkaroon tayo ng debt servicing ng principal. Okay? So isasama natin yung dito sa dito sa formula natin, it's the interest plus the principal. Yun. Kaya kinuha ko lang yung difference ng 1 million at saka ng 500,000. So that's the principal, principal servicing. No? Plus E11 natin is the interest. Okay? So I hope that's clear. Thank you again for that question. That's a very good question. Okay, so let me, medyo ano tayo, medyo, ito guys, yung ano natin, yung PR. Okay, explain ko lang to Okay, I'm going to share with you, ang tawag dito guys, yung PE, PCF, mga multiples yan, mga price multiples. Okay, and then there are, okay, sandali. Marami sa internet guys, kunyari sa Investopedia. Let me share with you sa pakikuha na lang yung link na to. Okay. Ang tawag dyan guys, price multiples, no? Example niyan, yung per, ito, you oftentimes call this the per. Price EPS ratio. So, maririnig nyo sometimes ang tawag dyan yung per, okay, PER, no? Price earnings ratio. Tapos price cash flow ratio. Okay. Dun sa site na sinare ko sa inyo guys, that's, ito ba yan? Okay, let me flash that. Investopedia guys is a very good site. It gives us basics about yan. Price multiples, no? So, pakibasa na lang yan guys. Tagal mag-ano ng internet ko. Ini-explain lang yan guys kung yan, price multiples. No? There are different types of price multiple. Isa din yung per, isa yung price to cash flow ratio. Okay? So pakibasa na lang yan. Example, no? Price to earnings ratio, price to forward earnings, price to book ratio, price to sales ratio. Different types guys. Pero sa atin, dalawa lang tinitingnan natin. No? Ang tawag dyan, price multiple. Bakit price multiple? Kasi tinitingnan natin yung price ng stock relative to a certain measure. Okay, for example, ito. Per. Ano yung per, guys? This is the one of the most popular price multiple. Okay, this is now of course, this only makes sense, guys, kung yung comparator natin, kasi price dapat positive yan, no? Tapos over EPS to earnings per share. Ano yung earnings per share? Di ba na-compute natin itong earnings per share? So ang earnings per share natin is negative. Nung 2019, ang price natin, alam natin yan, ito, ang price natin is 6, no? 6. So dapat 6 divided by ano yan? 6 divided by, talagay ko lang, no? Is equal to 6 divided by your EPS, earnings per share. Yan. Okay. Now you have a negative value here. Now, pag negative price multiple, hindi ginagamit yan kasi it doesn't make sense. Kasi ang ibig sabihin yan, for every 1 peso of EPS, meron tayong price na negative. So price can never be negative. So that ito, pag mga ganyan, we don't interpret that. Okay? So ito naman, magkano yung price ng 2020 divided by the EPS? So you have 12. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Okay? Ang ibig sabihin yan, sa bawat EPS, sa bawat earnings per share na makukuha mo, sa bawat piso, ang price na stock ng stock na yan is 12 pesos. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin yan? In itself, guys, hindi natin may interpret yan. May interpret lang natin yan, guys, kung i-compare natin yan. Okay? So sa atin, ang gagawin na lang natin, i-compare natin sa sa benchmark. So ibig sabihin yan, mahal itong stock natin. Mahal yan. Kasi mas mataas siya dun sa competitor. Ibig sabihin yan, sa competitor natin, makakakuha ka ng 1 peso na EPS, tapos mabibili mo yung stock na yan at 9.5. Yung sa atin, guys, sa XYZ, kailangan mong bilhin yan ng 12 pesos para makakuha ka ng 1 peso na earnings per share. So that's quite expensive, guys, relative to the competitor. Okay, so that's what that means. So the lower the per, okay, the quote unquote cheaper it is. Okay, sa would-be investor, mas maganda yon. Kasi kunyari ang per guys, ang per let's say is let's say 2 pesos. 2. Yung price multiple natin 2. Ibig sabihin nun, you'll get 1 peso of earnings per share for a stock that you can buy for 2 pesos. Of course, from the perspective of the investor, mas maganda kung less than 1 yan. Kunyari 0.5 yung per. Ibig sabihin mura yan. Kasi you have a stock that earns 1 peso na EPS, earnings per share, tapos mabibili mo lang siya at 5 centavos. So the lower the per, okay, the more, let's say, the more undervalued it is and the cheaper it is. Yun ang implication yan. Ganun din guys si price per cash flow ratio. Price per cash flow ratio. Kaso dito ang ginagamit natin hindi EPS but the operating cash flow. Okay, naalala nyo guys na nung dati ginawa natin yung operating cash flow, no? Okay, so I hope you did it guys. Ito yung operating cash flow natin, 170, 536. Again guys, dito negative eh. So this will not make any sense. Hindi natin pwede magamit yung price per operating cash flow ratio kasi negative. Kasi lalabas na negative yung ano yung multiple natin. So let me just explain. So kinopya ko to guys. I copy this 170 536. And then dinivide ko siya ng ng number of shares noong 2020. Okay? So if you take note, K133 which is this one divided by E40. E40 is your ito, 250,000 shares. So I'm getting the operating cash flow per share. Lumalabas guys na negative 0.68 siya. Okay, so this is negative so it does not make sense. No? But anyway, I just place it here for your reference. So this one is, ano to? The price, E39. Okay, the price, which is 12.17 divided by the operating cash flow per share, which is this one. Okay, so it's 17.84. Okay, so i-assume lang natin guys sa positive yan, just for discussion purposes. Ano ibig sabihin ng 17.84? Ibig sabihin yan, if you want this stock na magbibigay sa atin ng 1 peso na cash flow per share, you will have to buy it at 17.84. So it's expensive. Kasi compare dito sa sa competitor natin, you can buy this at 7.6. Yung market value ng 7.6 and in return you get 1 peso of operating cash flow per share. Remember, titingnan natin yung denominator. So for every 1 peso of operating cash flow per share, the market value is 7.6. If you're a would-be investor, bibili ka, you should be willing to pay at 7.6 and then get 1 peso of operating cash flow per share. If this was positive, guys, mas mura to, mas mahal to. Mas overvalued yung natin, 17.84. Vis-a-vis the competitor at 7.6. Okay? So unless na willing ka na, assuming na positive to, guys. So again, guys, this does not make sense kasi pag negative yung denominator natin, hindi na natin pwedeng i-interpret yan kasi there's no such thing as negative na price. Okay, so this is only interpretable. Yan, sabi ko nga guys, only makes sense when the basis is positive. Wala time na. Okay. All right. So, guys, magta-time na. I hope I can be given 2 minutes just to finalize this. Tapos ito guys, yung book value per share, well, ano lang yan, yung total equity lang divided by the average shares. Okay, ibig sabihin ng ibig sabihin yan, ano ibig sabihin na to? Tingnan natin yung formula. Sa bawat share, sa bawat share, the equity is worth 5.6. Okay, per share, the equity is worth 5.6. Of course, the higher, the better. So if you're taking a look at this, mas maganda yung performance ng competitor natin. Tayo 11.3 lang, si competitor 13.6. And then ito market value, market to book value. Kino-compare lang natin yung market value versus the book value. So gagamitin natin guys, yung market value natin is yung price natin, ito 6 divided by yung book value natin per share is 5.6. Okay? So again guys, sa market to book value, the higher the better. Kasi ibig sabihin, mataas na yung appraisal natin sa market versus the book value. Okay, so dalawa lang yung guys yung ano natin, yung market value ratios natin, itong book value per share at saka market to book value ratio. Okay, the last one guys, ito na lang, the last one is yung ROE. Kaya ko lang naman pinasok to guys is that yung ROE natin, yung ROE is dati ito yung ginagamit talaga yung ROE. But with the advent of the ROIC, mas ginagamit na yun. So sinasabi lang dito guys, yung ROIC can be broken down into 3 components, no? So this just tells us that ROIC is net income after tax over average total equity. No? If you multiply it by sales over sales and total assets over total assets, and then if we rearrange, no? Okay, so net income after tax gawin natin over sales. So this is now your profit margin. Sales over total assets, that's now your Pareto. And then total assets over total equity, that's now your financial leverage multiplier or equity multiplier. So this is telling us that in order to increase ROE, pwede natin i-increase si PM, si TATO, at saka si FLM. Okay? So dito, we're just breaking down si ROE into profit margin. Okay, meron na tayong profit margin sa taas, no? Meron na tayong Pareto. Itong equity multiplier is just your total assets over your total equity. Yun lang yun. And then if you multiply these 3, okay, so I just multiply these 3 guys, I'll get the same answer. Same answer as your ROE. Okay, so we just broke down our ROE into 3. This is called your 3-way DuPont analysis. 3-way, okay? 3-way DuPont analysis kasi you're breaking down your DuPont into your ROE into 3 aspects. No? Meron 5-way, no? Pero will not go there. Okay, lastly guys, ito na lang, no? Altman Z. Okay, here I'm sending you here. Okay, pwede nyo tingnan tong ano na to. Okay, sa chat na lang. Okay, you can take a look at this sites, no? It explains to us kung ano ba yung Altman Z na to. Si Altman Z guys ginagamit to predict if the company will become bankrupt in the next 2 years. So ang ginagamit niya na ratios ito. Okay? So here I computed for 2019 and 2020. And it turns out that ang sinasabi dito sa Altman Z guys, kung yung Altman Z is a value less than 1.8, distress zone yan. Candidate yan yung company na maging bankrupt. If it's between 1.8 to 3, medyo gray zone, we cannot really determine. Pag 3 to 4 guys, 3 to 4, safe zone yan. So here guys, kinumpute natin yung Altman Z ng company natin using this formula. 1.2 times A, 1.4 times B, etc. So first we compute for the ratios. Okay, so this is the ratio for 2019 and 2020, and then we multiply it with a factor. So the formula here is the sum product natin nito, at saka itong factor, and then sum product nito, these are the factor. And then it turns out guys na so, noong 2019 3.51, malayo naman, no? It tells us that hindi naman candidate yung si XYZ company for bankruptcy. In fact, nag-improve yung Altman Z niya noong 2020. Mas mababa ng 2019 as expected. All right? So let me end there guys. I'm going to post this na lang, this worksheet to our site. So thank you so much guys. Wednesday we'll have our long exam at 9:15 sa class natin. Okay?
Sir, will we have a call during the quiz?
Sorry.
Will we have a synchronous call po? Like,
Yes, oo. Synchronous tayo ha.
okay po.
Synchronous tayo at that at that time. Kasi magbibigay pa ako ng instructions.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay? So thank you so much, guys. Maraming salamat. For those of you who will have your attendance check, kindly remain. And the rest, guys, salamat ha. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank you,
po.
sir.
Salamat.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat. Salamat.
Sir,
Magpapacheck
may
na
question-
attendance? Yes, sure. Sure, go ahead.
May question po ako, sir, sa
Okay.
earnings per share po, sir.
Okay, sige.
Paano niyo po, sir, nakuha yung third value po? Kasi sa akin po, 0.88 tapos 0.54 lang po.
0.88 at saka
0.54 po. Tapos, wala po ako yung column po sa 2018, sir.
ang formula lang natin, di ba? This is the net income after tax divided by the average number of shares. No?
Yes, po, sir.
Average ng mali ito ha. Sorry, dapat C42 at saka B40. Ba't naging ganito yung formula ko? Wait.
Wait.
Average ng B40. Ay, wait. Wala pa. Sorry. Wala tayo dito. No? Dito lang tayo. No? Average ng D at saka C. Dapat C to. Sorry, this is from D at saka C. Yan. Thank you.
Ay, 0.95, sir.
Wait ha, sandali.
Paano
Check ko
po,
ha.
sir, lumabas?
Check ko ha. EPS is D14. That's the net income after tax ng D14. Tama, no? Then divided by average number of shares ng D40 at saka C40. So, ito. Yan. D40, C40 average.
Okay.
Kasi yung shares,
Tama.
number of shares yung inaano natin. Okay,
So,
so
C14 pala yung ano ko.
C40, no?
Bale, sir, wala po talagang earnings per share po for sa 2018 po since wala
Oo,
po
kasi-
tayong stocks doon.
Hindi binigay sa atin yung yung number of shares.
Okay.
Wala tayong binigay dito. So we cannot assume. But if it was also 100,000, no, then mako-compute natin.
Okay.
Did it answer your question?
Yes po, sir. Paano niyo po ulit, sir, nakuha yung operating per share? Yun na po, last question na po.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. No problem. As in operating,
Yung sa, kanan po, ayan po, OCF 2020 po.
ito.
Apo.
Sa cash flow natin yan. Dapat ginawa nyo yung cash flow ito.
Yes po, na-complete po.
So operating natin 175.36. Pareho ba ng value mo?
Yes po.
Oo. So gagamitin natin yon. Yun ang magiging denominator natin dito. 175.36. So dito, yan. Tapos kailangan i-divide mo siya ng number of shares, no? Kasi operating cash flow per share yan.
So, operating cash flow divided by E40.
Number of shares ng 20, nung divided by
Number of shares.
number of shares, which is 250,000.
Thank you, sir. Gets na po, sir.
Yan, gets na? Okay, good. I appreciate.
Sir,
Yes. Hello? Oo nga, bigla na wala yung class ko.